Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. A couple of quick things before I get to this. I'm not saying that I know that my word is the end all be all on this topic. And I'm not even really clapping back at a partner of mine, Latoris Harrison. I want to take a quick sec to invite you over to check out his channel. I think it's called The Conceited Nobody. I think he jumps on here sometimes with his personal account, but check out his podcast that's on here. It's weekly. I think they do it on Tuesdays. It's midweek, but it's the Conceited Nobody podcast. Him and his panel, they go over a variety of topics and, thoughtful, entertaining, revealing, informative, all of that. So check those out. They work very hard to do what they do. Me and him have hit on this subject before about Andre 3000, Andre Benjamin from Outkast, a couple other cats. I see this all the time in different on different online outlets and sources and platforms. And I just don't understand how the dude is considered a GOAT in hip hop and rapping now. And I'll tell you why in a second. Also, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video with the mask on while I was at the hospital with my mother. And, I was trying to waste some time. I was trying to be positive that she didn't have a more serious situation. She was there for a procedure. And, I didn't really want to come on there with the mask because masks seem to be a real political thing right now. Wasn't trying to make any kind of statement. The good news is my mom's, they were doing she went in, I took her in there for a biopsy and it came back as benign, a mass that they found. It was just a hectic situation for a couple of weeks, but we just got the results of it yesterday. So she's relieved, I'm relieved. That had been a situation I was working through behind the scenes and whatnot, and it turned out with a positive ending. So let me jump into this, man. I don't understand how Andre 3000, this isn't trying to belittle that, demean that man, tear him down, hate him. It's none of that. Very simple. My whole belief is, how can I put you as a GOAT in hip hop and you don't have a hip hop album, a rapping album, even that Love Below joint? I only listened to it like one time when I bought it back in the day, and I loved Prototype, In My Lap, Hey. I learned how to play Hey. It's a very simple song. You just gotta play it really quickly. But I loved all of that. I love the creativity, some of the videos, but that's not 25% rap. It's not 75% of him rapping. It doesn't check that box in my opinion. But anyway, like I said, I've seen this on different videos, different articles. Ambrosia for Heads was one of my favorite websites I used to read on. They're not active anymore. They have a YouTube channel now and are focusing on digital stuff. So it's just my thoughts on it. It is what it is. Now, why I just don't know how you can do. Oh, well, shout out to B.I.G., who like within the last 2 or 3 weeks was inducted into the the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think it's only Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. that are in there. Shouldn't be where you have, and then I think the only groups might be Public Enemy. NWA might be in there. I don't know. I can't remember. But you shouldn't have to be deceased as an MC. I keep saying LL needs to be in there taking that glare out the back. But so just shout out to B.I.G., the memory, the legacy, and the late Christopher Wallace and Tupac. Shout out to all of them guys. Whether or not you think that's important or not, that's your opinion. I respect that. But getting into this, with my main reason of questioning how is Andre 3000 regarded as this great? And my main hang up being the fact that there's not a hip hop album for me to go and listen to validate that, to confirm that. I don't know how you move past that very important thing. I mean, that one accomplishment, like that should be, and I get it. He had the Outkast records. Some people thought Big Boy was the better of the two. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not a big enough of an Outkast fan to really care who was better between the two. I don't even have an argument in that. I have been amazed at some of Andre 3000's lyrics or his features throughout the years. I give a dude all the credit in the world. But when you don't go and do an album, when you don't take on that challenge, and with some of the people that I'm getting ready to talk about who climbed that mountain multiple times, when you don't take on that challenge, you don't handle that responsibility, I just don't know how, I don't know how when we get to talking about all of the greats, I don't know how you can be at the beginning of that discussion. Because you didn't sacrifice, you didn't have the criticism, you didn't have the questions about you. You skirted all of that. So to me, it's just, when I hear this discussion, I really don't even care. Like, I keep it moving because I don't even know how you talk about it. And then so for one thing, I don't think anybody else in music besides jazz artists and solo MCs, I don't know if there's anybody else who faces the kind of same individual pressure to deliver. And that's one of the dope things about hip hop, is when we're talking about a solo MC, your thoughts, your view of the world, your outlook, your message, your style, your sense of humor, your awareness, your consciousness, all of these things are on center stage. They're on full display. And as consumers, we're making up our mind with buying that project, video, supporting, buying tickets. We're casting our vote and letting people know how much we rock with you. And, you know, there's either a reward or there's a failure. You know, you either sink or swim. And I was watching the documentary, Miles Davis. And it's for out there. Coltrane, Bird, all of the greats. Even the blues do, well, that's a different story. But these lead jazz artists, whatever instrument they played, like, as the game changed, Miles Davis had to shake up his quartet or his trio. Or, you know, later in the game, he started messing with he started experimenting with different sounds and, you know, messing with different genres and whatnot. It's a challenge to be relevant. And so, like I said, I don't think there's any other figures in music who go through this fight but jazz artists and solo MCs. And it's a lot of pressure. And like I'm saying, if you don't deliver, you deliver. And if you never even drop a solo project, then what do I even have to judge you on? You know, I was trying to relate this or compare this to like a Jamal Crawford. Jamal Crawford is an ill 6-man. A Robert Horry is another dude who's done a lot of work off the bench. But have either one of these guys went to a team to number 1? Or are you just a career number 2? So we're never going to put Jamal Crawford. We done, man. We keep it. I'm doing my thing now. I don't have nothing to disagree with you. I don't have nothing to disagree with you whatsoever. I'm just talking my talk today. I can't ride my bike, so I'm out here in the gym, pissed off. I got to do this mess versus just ride my bike, and I'm talking. So anyway, And I'm getting ready to get to group rapper. But Jamal Crawford, we never put him in the discussion as a, he's never in a discussion with Mike, LeBron, because he's a sixth man. But I'm tripping here, an NFL quarterback or NFL running back. If you never do anything great in the playoffs, how do we do anything with you as an all-time great if you never did it on the big stages? Even in basketball, if you never take a team to the playoffs. So with me saying that the postseason is akin to a record, an album, but let me get to a couple of dudes really quickly, and I'm gonna jump off of here. A couple of dudes who, whether or not you regard them as GOATs or not, the fact that they gave me a solo album, it gave something it solidified their career. Whether or not they blew up or not, it solidified their career. The thing that comes to mind, who a lot of people might not have rocked with, is Chubb Rock. Now, before you get to ignoring me, Chubb Rock came out with 2 albums, had a couple singles, had a couple videos. Mostly because of his name, Chubb Rock, him being an overweight cat, he was kind of disregarded as, he was more looked at as a gimmick. But on his 3rd album, The One, it came out in 1991, Chubb Rock put out a really, 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 really dope album and said to the world, like, you're gonna quit effing with me, you're gonna quit playing with me. I'm a real dude with this phone. I'm a real dude with this pen and pad. And the album is dope. I mean, if you didn't catch it, you didn't catch it. And I wasn't a big Chubb Rock fan myself. And maybe I borrowed this tape from somebody else in high school. My mom worked 3rd shift. I had a lot of time to myself at night. And this was one of the albums that I set up and listened to it, undisturbed. And I'm like, damn, Chubb Rock is murdering dudes on. I mean, it's really a dope project. So what I'm saying here is he got tired of being overlooked. He got tired of being disrespected. And he got to this 3rd album and was like, man, y'all gonna quit playing with me. I'm a real MC. I'm a real dude. Go check out any of the records. But obviously this was the first album. It hit number 13 on Billboard's top hip hop and R&B chart. He had 3 number 1 singles with Treat 'Em Right, Just the Two of Us, and The Chubster. This is what I'm talking about when if you're an MC and you don't put out albums, and I'm getting ready to say this about these other people. When we don't see that growth in you from album to album. So that's one way to look at it. It's a dude who works himself into a really dope artist over 2 or 3 albums, or there's a dude like a Nas, for example, who comes out with his first album that's spot on, and he's already established. We saw Kendrick Lamar. We saw him come through a couple of albums before he was finally, crowned as a great. We've seen J. Cole go through the process. Anybody with 4 or 5, 3 or 4 albums, we see that progress, and And that's part of this discussion. So again, if you don't have an album, then how can I regard you? Let me talk about another dude. This is a similar situation because he came from a group, Grand Puba. Grand Puba was one of my favorite dudes on any verse that he got on in Brand Nubian. He was on Posse Cuts, as they called him back in the day. He was phenomenal. Every time Grand Puba spit, I was engaged. His solo joints within Brand Nubian were some of my favorites. This is where it comes from when the whole discussion and the mumbling and the grumbling starts. Hey, we want this dude to break away and do a solo project. We like him that much. I want to hear a solo project for him. So in 1991, Grand Puba responds and comes out with a solo project. It's called Real to Real. Nobody knows anything about this album. Similar, on a lesser degree to Chubb Rock's The One, because The One had 3 singles on there. But But Grand Pooba, it didn't really take off for him. Now some things were working against him because after 92 or after 90, yeah, after 1992, Nas comes, Jay-Z comes, Wu-Tang Clan comes. The game totally changes. And Grand Pooba, what I've learned years later, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, he actually was kind of interested in working with Grand Pooba because he liked his style. But he said the word was that Grand Pooba is lazy as hell. He don't really like to work. He really doesn't, it's really no real hunger. He just not that type of dude. He didn't really want to work. And Puffy is a dude who's known to be a gym rat, so to speak. And he's trying to deliver. So that's one of the things that worked against Grand Pooba was his own work ethic. And then secondly, the game changed 2 years after him. He didn't even make another album until 8 years later. He came out in 92, and then his next album was in the year 2000. But Real to Real itself, the singles on there were Real to Real, 360, What Goes Around, which was a really dope single, a really dope video. I really loved the joint. It was in the same lane with all of the solo songs that Grand Pooh had done before. Also, another record on there that stood out to me was Soul Controller. And that's part of the thing, Grand Pooba he spit about hidden skins. He spit about his Nation of Islam stuff, or God, body, five, whatever that shit is. He did his straight out rapping. He did his socially conscious stuff. He was versatile as hell. But he didn't really, he never really delivered a big time club joint by no stretch of the imagination. That wasn't his lane. But he had a style about him, had some humor about him, made a couple of female joints for the ladies and whatnot. Excuse me. But it didn't work for him. Now let's get to two of the big time dudes that everybody knows and are constantly in the GOAT discussion. Nas. Nas comes out with Illmatic in April of 94. The album speaks for itself. We know that he had the greatest producers in the game, all came together and helped him out. Dry as hell in this garage. But the album has stood the test of time. It's one of the top three, top five albums in the entire genre. But it didn't go platinum. I'm not even sure it did a whole lot above gold, to be honest. And that was because it was pirated so much. But this was early in the game. And this is another thing about putting out an album and being a solo MC. When the coverage is going on, when you start doing your features and popping up, and you're being introduced to the audience, introduced to the world, and then the world starts, well, when is that kid's album coming out? When is he dropping? And then, however long it takes for that debut album to come out, and all of the anticipation builds, and then you drop, and then, you got people standing in line for Snoop's album. At midnight, the night before, people were standing out to go buy What's My Name. That didn't happen for Illmatic. Just didn't. But I'm saying, when people get to your project and start tearing it apart, listening to it, having their favorite joints, calling their friends, and talking about it, that speaks for itself. I don't have to say what you were. You were what you were. It's nothing for us to argue about. By the way, Snoop had one of the best debuts of all time. I don't even care for Snoop's music, but I can't knock his first album. So let me look at it. But the thing with Nas, how do you follow up Illmatic? That becomes the goalpost move, the chains move. What do you do next? He comes out with It Was Written. If I Ruled the World is the first single. Everything that they kind of got wrong or didn't accomplish with Illmatic, with Illmatic not really being Illmatic, it really wasn't meant to be platinum selling, multi-platinum selling. It was meant to be a dope hip hop album. You can see what it was written. If I Ruled the World went straight to radio. He had a joint on there with Dr. Dre, the first collaboration with Dr. Dre. The Firm is on there. Foxy Brown is on there. It's meant to do bigger things. It was meant to be a bigger selling album. And in my opinion, it obviously got better numbers, but it was written isn't always really regarded in the same manner as Illmatic, but in my opinion, it's right there with it. I know that might not be the most popular opinion, but it was right there with it. I actually exactly. So he comes out with it was written. Hate Me Now was on there. The Undying is on there at the end. It's a phenomenal album. Now let's look at Jay-Z. Another dude always in the GOAT discussion. Comes out with Reasonable Doubt in '96. Did okay. Did pretty well. It's regarded as a classic nowadays. It's one of those album titles that it's one of those, it's a standard bearer. Dudes today are trying to make a Reasonable Doubt. Dudes from the East Coast. He comes back, he does the opposite of what Nas does with Volume 1 In My Lifetime. He tried to come out with Babyface. This is what I'm talking about when you go to, when a solo artist goes to bring the project together. What producers do you work with? What type of songs do you try to put out? What features do you go and get? I heard Jay-Z say if Babyface wouldn't have agreed to do the chorus on Sunshine, he wasn't even going to release the song. Some people are probably like, you shouldn't have released the song anyway. But here he is trying to get in his artistic bag, his artist bag, and trying to show some growth and trying to do some numbers. And he has The City Is Mine, which is a straightforward sample from I don't know who that band was, but I can't remember their name. But the album just really isn't. Imaginary Player is on there. It didn't do the same. It wasn't received as well as it was written. It wasn't a step above what he did with his debut album. What's he do? What does he do? The questions are out there, the naysayers are out there, the doubters, the haters, the detractors. He's like, I gotta go get in my bag and prove to the world what I really am, what I believe I am. I need to find my voice. I need to make the type of project that's truly representative of what I am and the impact that I'm trying to have on the game. 15 years from now, I'm trying to be a billionaire. Probably the worst album besides Magna Carta. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. What's up, L Smooth? Y'all go check my man's new work out, his new project out, Rhymes Based on a Cold Story. But I'm almost done in about a few more minutes. He comes right back though in September of '98 with Volume 1 and drops the single Hard Knock Life. Goes straight to radio and really kind of touches off the return of Def Jam as like a behemoth, as a major player in the game. And the rest is history. Now, two other dudes who I'm not talking here, who like I said, when you have that, when the pressure is on you to deliver a project and a dope project, another dude coming from a group situation, similar to Andre 3000, Ice Cube, one of the best examples, America's Most Wanted. I was a decent fan of NWA. Ice Cube was obviously a central figure inside of NWA. And then, as it ended messy and they made the split, I'm 17, 16, whatever at the time, I'm interested in what Ice Cube does. And you saw this in the movie. You saw this in Straight Outta Compton. I was living it real time. How do you walk away from a group that's as popular as NWA? How do you walk away from that and stand on your own feet? Well, we all know Ice Cube goes and gets Hit Squad. But you leave this West Coast sound, you walk away from that and go mess with some dudes. How is that relationship gonna work? And he knocked it out the park. I mean, America's Most Wanted is phenomenal. I mean, it's a monster. So, like I said, all that anticipation was there. The Source magazine or rap pages or whatever the hell was out back then, no internet. But everybody's clamoring to understand, you know, what's he gonna do? How's he gonna do it? How's it gonna sound? Can he cover? This is a dude who was rapping with 4 dudes. Now it's just one dude. Can he carry the responsibility of dropping a dope project? And like I said, he delivers. America's Most Wanted, you can put it on right now. I can get this workout in I'm getting ready to do. I can put that on right now and still be blown away. Andre 3000 hasn't done that. I gotta go put on the Love Below. That's not gonna do it for me. Another dude I wanted to be somewhat balanced. King T. I don't know a lot of people respect King T, man, but he was obviously living in the shadow of NWA, Ice Cube, all these Dr. Dre, all these other dudes. He was obviously living in their shadows. He's another guy that had 2 albums before he had the Trifling album. The Trifling album comes out, and he found out how he could stand out amongst all these other big names on the West Coast and really put out a dope album. Now, I don't know that, I'm not that familiar with the Trifling album to sit here and tell you song for song what was dope, but even if you turn on the first 2 or 3 records, you realize that here's a man that wants to be recognized as an MC. He says something in the first song about, I'm on my 3rd comeback. And you can see he introduces the licks. He goes away from the West Coast sound and kind of has more of a traditional hip hop sound with a lot of the songs. The verses is getting away from like gangster rap, gang banging. He on some totally different stuff. And I can just respect that as, again, here's a dude that's submitting his thesis to the marketplace and trying to tell you what I am and what I think of myself. You either rock with me or you don't. And I thought the Trifling album was, you know, it probably wasn't all that commercially successful for him, but as an artist, I was like, this is the one with the Sherbert with the Sherbert colors on it, with the Impala. I thought it was a dope project. And like I said, he introduces the Alcoholics. They go on their little run with the Loud Records or whatever. And he did something significant. That's another part of being a solo MC or one of the GOATs. Who do you bring with you? Who has Andre 3000 brought with him? Now, I know Nas, a lot of dudes that Nas brought along, they all failed. I know Ice Cube brought along a couple of dudes. None of them really learned how to swim. I think Dale, the Funky Homo Sapien, might be his cousin or something. He had some success and is an interesting artist within himself. Jay-Z had his dudes. You know, Bleak is like running the alcohol brand or whatever now, the overseeing the liquor sales or whatever, state property, blah, blah, blah. But that's a part of this thing too, is, you know, who do you bring with you? Who do you put in position to win? So that's pretty much it, man. I gotta get this workout in, but that's me. I just don't understand how we can spend a lot of time talking about a dude as being in the top 3, the top 5, and you don't have no album. I mean, I don't even know why I made this video, except for messing around with Latoris Harrison yesterday in the text messages. But seriously though, rather than criticizing Andre 3000, I'm really kind of not disappointed at him or disappointed in him, but I'm just like, damn, bro, as talented as you were, like you ain't never lock in and just knock this out. Like you one of the more interesting cats to hear from, and you ain't never want to give us that. You didn't never want to do that. That's how I approach it. It's not really trying to tear the man down. It's just like a lot of these cats, you know, different artists want to work with you, different producers want to work with you. Album making, I know it's a stressful situation. I know, you know, not being received well or flopping, you know, bricking, whatever. I know that's a terrible feeling, but you know, when you can do things on a level that only elite dudes can do it at, what's the chances of an Andre 3000 flopping? Again, you know, I would love to know, you know, what would be his signature title in his catalog? What would be the sound? What producer would you go and work with? I just heard this kid name for the first time. I just listened to this dude named Russ. I saw his name months ago and forgot about him, but I just listened to his EP yesterday. He got a joint with I don't know where the hell Russ is from. I think he's from the East Coast, but it's like 5 or 6 songs. I think it's called Chomp is the name of the EP. But he got a joint on there with Primo, with produced by DJ Premier. It's one of Premier's best beats in a minute. And I'm sitting here blown away by it. And the dude is killing, Russ is spitting. I'm like, damn, this is fire. But another joint on there that Russ has is with, it's got Benny the Butcher and Black Thought on there. And it's produced by Ninth Wonder. So here's this nobody, you know, new to me. He got a joint produced by DJ Premier and Ninth Wonder and goes and gets features from Benny the Butcher and Black Thought. You know, who even rhymes against, as a new dude, who even rhymes with those two types of dudes in fear of being outshined exponentially, you know? But he held his own. It's a dope record. But I'm just saying, when I'm looking at my solo MCs, like I want to know who you want to work with. What features do you go get? Why, you know, somebody like a J. Cole, I don't want no feature. Like B.I.G., the only feature on his first album that make listening to an album dope. So I think it's sad that we don't have those types of moments for Andre 3000. We got to go watch his features on everybody else's projects to connect the dots of his discography. And I think he's one of the dudes we shouldn't have to do that for. Anyway, let me get on out of here, man. I just wanted to come in and rap for the day. We have to get into that. Peace. I'm out.